On August 22, 1990, two young people went out for a night in Houston. They never came home. Their bodies were found the next morning in a wooded area locals had quietly started calling Lover's Lane. For 36 years, this case haunted the city. No arrests, no answers. Over 100 suspects, and every single lead went cold. Then, in March 2026, one tip changed everything. A man was finally charged with capital murder. But the questions that remain go far deeper than one arrest could ever answer. This is Dark Record. If you are new here, subscribe. New case every week. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Cheryl Henry was 22 years old. Everyone who knew her said the same thing. She walked into a room and the whole energy shifted. She was funny. She was warm. She was the kind of person you just wanted to be around. Her younger sister, Shane, described her as someone who brought love and light into every life she touched. Garland Andy Atkinson was 21. He and Cheryl had only been dating a few weeks, but the people closest to them said you could already tell these two were good together. Andy's cousin, Tim Godwin, grew up with him, said they were like brothers. They had their whole lives ahead of them, two young people at the very beginning of something. On the evening of August 22nd, they met at Bayou Mama's, a nightclub on Westheimer Road in West Houston. Cheryl's sister was with them for part of the night, but she left before the evening ended. That was the last time anyone saw them alive. Nobody knows exactly where Cheryl and Andy went after they left that nightclub. We don't know what they talked about. We don't know what the plan was for the rest of the night. What we do know is that the next morning, Cheryl didn't come home. Her family filed a missing persons report. They said that was completely unlike her. Something was already wrong. They all felt it. Andy's family was waiting too. Nobody had heard from either of them since the night before. When Cheryl's family tried to reach her, nothing. That silence said everything. On August 23, 1990, a security guard was doing a routine patrol near Enclave Parkway. This was a largely undeveloped area at the time. Remote, quiet, the kind of place you wouldn't notice unless you were looking. He noticed a white Honda Civic parked at the end of a cul-de-sac. The car had not moved in hours. When he approached, he found an unresponsive woman in the passenger seat. Cheryl's purse was on the floor. Her shoes were still in the car. Her ID was right there. Houston police responded immediately. They searched the surrounding area. Cheryl's body was found nearby, partially concealed beneath wooden boards, like someone had tried to hide her. Andy was found separately, tied to a tree. Both had suffered severe injuries to their necks. Cheryl had been sexually assaulted. Both deaths were ruled homicides. This was not a robbery. Nothing was taken. The scene showed clear signs of planning, every single detail of it. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. This was not random. Investigators also found a blue steel revolver matching a description that would later become a key piece of this entire case. Police canvassed the neighborhood, interviewed everyone they could find, and the case went nowhere. The case became known as the Lover's Lane murders, and for the next 36 years, it stayed cold. 36 years. Investigators worked more than 100 leads. They looked at over 100 possible suspects. Every single one was cleared or hit a dead end. In 2008, 18 years after the murders, police released a composite sketch of a possible suspect based on witness accounts from a separate case. That same year, DNA from the crime scene was linked to another unsolved rape case. For the first time, they had a DNA profile, but there was still no name to attach to it. The DNA sat in databases, waiting. Retired Sergeant Billy Belk worked this case for 17 years before he left the force. 17 years. He told the Henry family, "This case will clear. We have DNA. DNA doesn't disappear." He retired, and then another 19 years passed. The families never gave up. Cheryl's mother gave interviews for years. Andy's cousin Tim never stopped talking about him. They kept their names in the public memory for over 3 decades, because if the family stopped, who would remember? Cheryl's mother passed away before the arrest was ever made. She never got to see this day. Then, in late 2025, a Houston cold case sergeant received a tip, a name. He began looking into it quietly, and almost immediately he found something important, a 1996 Houston police report. The same man, named as a suspect in a separate sexual assault. In that case, he claimed the encounter was consensual. A grand jury declined to indict. Case closed. But here is the critical part. The DNA from that 1996 case had only recently been entered into CODIS, the FBI's national DNA database that matches profiles across every law enforcement lab in the country. When that DNA was finally uploaded, it matched, an immediate match to evidence from Cheryl Henry's case. And then a second match, the same DNA profile connected to a separate assault from June 1990. June 1990, just weeks before Cheryl and Andy were killed. Same summer, same area, same DNA. Think about that for a second. This man had been in Houston the entire time. Detectives reviewed everything, the original offense reports, the DNA evidence, all the case files. After a thorough review, they had their man. On March 25, 2026, Houston police and the FBI traveled to Lincoln, Nebraska, and they arrested Floyd William Parrott, 64 years old, charged with capital murder. So who is Floyd William Parrott? Court records show he lived in the Houston area for most of his adult life. May 1988, arrested for impersonating a peace officer in Harris County. December 1988, convicted of carrying a weapon, a blue steel revolver. Records show that revolver was returned to him after his conviction, the same type of weapon described by a victim in the June 1990 assault. May 1990, arrested again for impersonating a peace officer, released on bond. While he was out on that bond, the June 1990 assault happened. While he was still on that same bond, Cheryl and Andy were killed in August. His 1988 arrest record listed a work address just over 1 mile from the murder scene. 1 mile. Prosecutors say Parrott may have used a fake law enforcement identity to approach his alleged victims. The district attorney released photos of him from around the time of the murders and asked the public, "Do you recognize this man?" Because they believe there are other victims out there, people still living with what he allegedly did, who may not even know there has been an arrest. On the day he was arrested, Parrott was interviewed by investigators. He denied ever knowing Cheryl Henry. Floyd William Parrott has not been tried. He has not been convicted. Under the law, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The case is not legally closed. At the time of this video, extradition from Nebraska to Texas was still ongoing. But for 2 families, something shifted on March 25, 2026. Cheryl's younger sister, Shane Craig, stood at that press conference and wiped away tears as she spoke. She said, Cheryl was more than a victim in a headline. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, someone who brought so much love into every life she touched. She deserved so much more than what happened to her that night. Andy Atkinson's family had waited 36 years for this moment. Some of them didn't make it. Cheryl's mother, Andy's father, both gone before this day arrived. The Henry family released a statement. They said, "We never gave up hope, not once, not through all those years of silence." 2 young lives ended on one night in August 1990, in a quiet cul-de-sac in West Houston that most people drive past without a second thought. The official version said this case was cold, but the DNA waited, and investigators kept working. 36 years later, it finally had a name. Whether justice follows is now for the courts alone to decide. This is Dark Record. Drop your theory in the comments.
I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a good time, because the truth is never the one they gave you.